Hello, dear friend. Are you aware that ultra-processed foods might be increasing your risk of cancer? You might not think twice about reaching for that bag of chips or that quick microwave meal, but these convenient options could be more dangerous than you realize. Stick around as we explore what the science says about the connection between ultra-processed foods and cancer and how you can manage your risk. UPFs are industrial formulations, typically containing 5 or more ingredients, including substances not commonly used in home cooking, such as preservatives, sweeteners, colorants, and flavor enhancers. These foods are often high in sugar, fat, and salt, while being low in essential nutrients like fiber and protein. Think of items like sugary cereals, packaged snacks, sodas, and ready-to-eat meals. More details on these foods can be viewed in the linked video, so be sure to watch it for more context if you haven't already. Cancer is a complex disease characterized by uncontrolled cell growth and division. It can be triggered by various factors, including genetic mutations, environmental exposures, and lifestyle choices. While smoking, alcohol consumption, and lack of physical activity are well-known risk factors, diet, and specifically the consumption of UPFs, is now being recognized as a significant contributor. UPFs can influence cancer development through several mechanisms. 1. Nutritional imbalance. Ultra-processed foods are typically high in unhealthy fats, sugars, and salt, but low in protective nutrients like fiber, vitamins, and minerals. This nutritional imbalance can lead to obesity, a known risk factor for several types of cancer, including breast, colorectal, and pancreatic cancers. 2. Additives and contaminants. Many ultra-processed foods contain artificial additives such as preservatives, colorants, and flavor enhancers. Some of these additives, like nitrates and nitrites, are known to form carcinogenic compounds in the body. Additionally, during the processing and packaging of ultra-processed foods, harmful substances like acrylamide and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons can form, which are both potential carcinogens. 3. Altered gut microbiota. Diets high in ultra-processed foods can negatively impact the gut microbiome, leading to dysbiosis, a state of imbalance in the gut bacteria. Emerging research suggests that a healthy gut microbiome is crucial for cancer prevention, particularly in colorectal cancer. 4. Insulin resistance and inflammation. The high glycemic load of many ultra-processed foods can cause chronic spikes in blood sugar and insulin levels, leading to insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is associated with higher levels of inflammation, which is a recognized contributor to cancer development. Numerous studies published in peer-reviewed journals have explored the link between ultra-processed foods and cancer. Let's take a closer look at some of the most significant findings. One of the most comprehensive studies on this topic is the NutriNet-Santé Study, a large-scale prospective cohort study conducted in France. This study, published in the BMJ in 2018, followed 104,980 participants over an average of 5 years to investigate the relationship between ultra-processed food consumption and cancer risk. The researchers found that a 10% increase in the proportion of ultra-processed foods in the diet was associated with a 12% increase in the risk of overall cancer and an 11% increase in the risk of breast cancer. The study's authors hypothesized that the high levels of fat, sugar, and salt in ultra-processed foods, along with the presence of potentially carcinogenic additives, could explain these associations. Another large cohort that has investigated this relationship is the UK Biobank. They examined the association between ultra-processed food consumption and the risk of cancer incidence and cancer mortality across 34 site-specific cancers. The study included 197,426 participants aged 40 to 69 years who completed 24-hour dietary recalls between 2009 and 2012. The participants were followed up until January 31st, 2021. Every 10 percentage point increase in UPF consumption was associated with a 2% increase in overall cancer incidence and a 19% increase in ovarian cancer incidence. Regarding cancer mortality, every 10 percentage point increase in UPF consumption was associated with a 6% increase in overall cancer mortality, 30% increase in ovarian cancer mortality, and 16% increase in breast cancer mortality. In the next review, the researchers included 11 studies from various countries including France, the USA, Spain, Morocco, South Africa, Canada, Italy, and Iran. The studies involved adults over 18 years old. The total number of participants across all studies was substantial, with large-scale prospective cohorts and diverse geographic representation. A consistent positive association was found between UPF intake and an increased risk of several cancers. A 10% increase in the proportion of UPF in the diet was associated with a 13% higher risk of overall cancer and 11% risk of breast cancer. A high intake of UPF was particularly associated with a 30% risk of colorectal cancer when the second highest consumers were compared with the lowest consumers, and a 49% increase in pancreatic risk when the highest consumers were compared to the lowest consumers. The researchers also reported modest associations with chronic lymphocytic leukemia and central nervous system tumors. This next review included 625,738 participants across 13 studies, 4 cohort studies, and 9 case control studies assessed this relationship in studies conducted in America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. They observed that the highest UPF consumption was associated with a 23% increased risk of colorectal cancer. This association was significant in men who had a 31% higher risk, but this was not significant in women. Each 10% increase in UPF consumption was associated with a 4% higher risk of colorectal cancer. A 10% association was found between UPF consumption and breast cancer, but no significant association was found with each 10% increase in UPF consumption. As for other cancers, no statistically significant results were observed. Now that we've established the general link between UPFs and cancer, let's examine how specific types of UPFs contribute to cancer risk. Processed meats. Processed meats such as sausages, bacon, and ham are among the most well-established ultra-processed foods linked to cancer. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies processed meats as Group 1 carcinogens, meaning there is sufficient evidence that they cause cancer in humans. The consumption of processed meats has been strongly associated with colorectal cancer. A meta-analysis published in Cancer, Causes and Control found that every 50-gram increase in daily consumption of processed meat was associated with an 18% increased risk of colorectal cancer. Watch this video on the relationship between red and processed meat and cancer risk, especially if you are considering the carnivore diet. Sugary beverages. Sugary beverages, including sodas and fruit drinks, are another category of ultra-processed foods associated with cancer. These drinks are high in sugar and calories, contributing to obesity, a known risk factor for several types of cancer. A study published in the BMJ in 2019 found that higher consumption of sugary drinks was associated with an increased risk of overall cancer, with the strongest associations observed for breast cancer. Ready-to-eat meals and cakes and desserts. Ready-to-eat meals such as hot dogs, sandwiches, instant soup and burgers, as well as cakes and desserts, which includes ice cream, pastries, cakes and donuts, have been shown to increase breast cancer risk by as much as 83% in high ultra-processed food consumers compared to low ultra-processed food consumers in Latin American women. Given the mounting evidence linking ultra-processed foods to cancer, it's clear that reducing your intake of these foods is an essential step for cancer prevention. Here are some practical tips to help you cut down on ultra-processed foods. First, prioritize whole foods. Focus on consuming minimally processed or unprocessed foods such as fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats. These foods are rich in nutrients and fiber, which are protective against cancer. Second, read labels carefully. When shopping for packaged foods, take the time to read the ingredients list. Avoid products with long lists of unfamiliar ingredients, especially those that include artificial additives, preservatives, and high levels of sugar or salt. Cook at home. Preparing meals at home allows you to control the ingredients and avoid the unhealthy additives found in many ultra-processed foods. Try to cook simple, nutritious meals using fresh ingredients. Limit processed meats. Reduce your intake of processed meats like sausages, bacon, and ham. Opt for fresh meats, fish, or plant-based protein sources instead. Cut back on sugary beverages. Replace sugary drinks with healthier alternatives like water, herbal teas, or homemade smoothies. While it's difficult to eliminate ultra-processed foods entirely, especially given their prevalence in modern diets, making informed choices and prioritizing whole, minimally processed foods can significantly reduce your risk. Remember, your diet is one of the most powerful tools you have for protecting your health. By being mindful of what you eat, you can take control of your cancer risk and pave the way for a healthier future. As usual, all the references are in the description below. Subscribe and like the video if you found this information helpful. Thanks, and see you next time.